What if Belgium was partitioned in 1830? In our own timeline, the entire lowlands were part of the Spanish Netherlands until 1568 when the Dutch revolt broke out. A stalemate quickly materialized, and the north, which became the Dutch Republic, would be Protestant and trade-focused, while the south, which remained with Spain and later Austria, would be Catholic and industry-focused. After the Napoleonic Wars, Austria had no interest in retaking the Austrian Netherlands, and Britain was interested in a strong buffer between France and Prussia, and so the Netherlands got the southern Netherlands. But these economic and religious differences would lead to the Belgian Revolution just 15 years later. During the London Conference, which was meant to end the war, French diplomat Charles, Comte de Flohat, son of Charles Maurice de Talleyrand-Périgord, proposed the partition of Belgium between France, the Netherlands and Prussia, with the British also getting a piece in form of the port of Antwerp. This plan would, however, get rejected, and Belgium became independent with British protection, and bearing the world wars, Belgian independence wouldn't be questioned, and it would continue to exist to this day, even being a core member of the European Union and NATO, but with a continued ethnic divide. But what if that didn't happen? What if Belgium was partitioned in 1830? In this timeline, the Float partition plan of Belgium is implemented. Prussia would get everything west of the Maas River, including all of Luxembourg, most of Namur and Liege, and portions of Limburg. The Netherlands get to keep some parts of Belgium in the form of Limburg, but lose some parts of Zeeland. France gets the remaining part of Wallonia in Hainaut and East Namur, and even portions of the Dutch-speaking part in the form of Brabant. They got the biggest portion, which isn't all too surprising, considering the plan was drafted by a Frenchman. Lastly, to appease the British, they get the coastal portion of Belgium, which historically was Flanders and the important port city of Antwerp. But unlike the others, it's not directly annexed by the British, but turned into the Free State of Antwerp. This additional land could make Prussia a little bit stronger within the German Confederation, but not enough to impact initial history all too much. Those gains could make the July monarchy more popular as it started off, gaining land in Belgium, but again not enough, and Louis Philippe gets overthrown in 1848. The United Kingdom might also have to divert some attention to safeguard Antwerp, but I doubt British colonial ambitions would be delayed or even cancelled just because of Antwerp, as Belgium in our own timeline didn't need extra attention to until 1914. The 1848 revolutions wouldn't be fundamentally changed, but Catholic Belgians might revolt against Prussia. The partition of Belgium could both improve and destroy Anglo-French relations. On one hand, they cooperated sooner regarding Belgium, but on the other hand, Antwerp could be a future point of contention. Nonetheless, Britain and France would still work together regarding the Crimean War, as both would be anxious regarding Russia. During the Second War of Italian Independence, France might be more anxious regarding a possible Prussian intervention, as they now share a longer border and might push for more of a negotiated peace. France still gets Nice and Savoy, but Piedmont Sardinia only gets eastern Lombardy instead of the entire region. Regarding central Italy, they could still get the Duchy of Parma and Piacenza and the Duchy of Modena and Reggio, but the Grand Duchy of Tuscany and the Papal Legation are kept away from Sardinia. The expedition of the Thousand could still happen and topple two Sicilies, but without Piedmont Sardinia having had united all of northern Italy before, Garibaldi could, instead of giving it to Piedmont Sardinia, form a South Italian republic in its place. Italy is a more divided place, with a liberal republic in the south, Papal States in the center, Habsburg in the northwest and Tuscany, and Piedmont Sardinia in the northwest. Further north, Prussia and Austria still drive Denmark out of Schleswig-Holstein and just 2 years later go to war with each other. Prussia still buys French neutrality by promising them Namur and Liege, a region they would later on not give to France. Prussia would still win the Austro-Prussian War, but the Third Italian War of Independence, which already was pretty embarrassing for Italy, but with a much smaller Italy and Tuscany helping Austria, it could be a disaster. Now, thanks to France and Prussia, Piedmont Sardinia wouldn't be forced to make territorial concessions, but it would fail in its objectives and gain nothing, with the status quo in Italy persisting. The Franco-Prussian War also happens here and wouldn't be fundamentally changed. Prussia still demands Alsace-Lorraine, but probably not more in Belgium, as these areas are French-speaking and the Maas is a great defendable area. Of the four nations that divided Belgium, France could emerge as its greatest victor. not only because they got the largest piece, but also because the area is rich in coal, which is something France lacked. This means their economy is stronger and less reliant on German coal imports, which probably emboldens France to be more belligerent. The Triple Alliance is likely never formed, as Italy very much despises Austria-Hungary, but an alliance with Tuscany and maybe even the Papal States, which feel threatened by Sardinia and South Italy, is possible. The scramble for Africa still kicks off, and with no Italian power in Belgium, neither one of them would participate. Somalia could go to the British and Eritrea to France, and the Belgium might be partitioned between Britain, France, and Germany. Germany could get the lands east of the Lualaba and south of the Eruwimi River. France could take the lands north of the Lukini River and the coastal part west of the Congo River. Lastly, Britain gets the rest. The Italo-Turkish War is almost certainly prevented in this timeline. This could, maybe not prevent, but delay the First Balkan War by just a few years. In 1914, Franz Ferdinand still gets assassinated in Sarajevo, and the First World War breaks out. This World War is quite a bit different than the one from our own timeline. In the east, the Ottoman Empire controls much of the Balkans, and without Enver Pasha, they probably don't join the Central Powers. Italy is much more divided and could become a battlefield with Austria, Tuscany, and Rome on one side and Sardinia and Naples on the other. Lastly, in the west, there is a lack of Belgians to invade. Fortunately for Germany, they can still go around the Netherlands. The Dutch would probably seek neutrality, but would eventually be forced into the war either way, but would ultimately say no to Germany and join the Entente. Based on 1910 data, the Netherlands had quite a bit smaller population than Belgium and US much flatter, and thus could be overrun faster with potential last lines of defense along Holland. Germany would move down to France, and also attack Antwerp, but failing to overrun it, and Germany might not reach the Marne, and a stalemate still materialized but a little bit further east. In the Balkans, Serbia probably falls to Austria fairly quickly, as it is extremely small and can't be reached from anywhere. Serbian forces might flee to Bulgaria, but it is also possible that Bulgaria rejects them due to their history of rivalry. In Italy, once Serbia and later Romania are occupied and Russia is pushed back, Austria-Hungary could launch a massive offensive that reconnects them with Tuscany and pushes Sardinia back to Piedmont. In 1917, Russia still drops out, but America joins the war, and after a failed offensive in France, Germany and Austria-Hungary would be pushed back and have to surrender. In the Treaty of Versailles, Germany loses Alsace-Lorraine to France. Germany also loses the territories it annexed in 1830, with Namur and Liege going to France and portions of Limburg to the Netherlands. The Netherlands could also annex East Frisia. It is possible that France might not take the Saarland directly, as it already gets its coal from Wallonia, but Saarland would still be a part of the occupied area. Denmark and Poland still get the territories that they got in our own timeline. In Italy, Piedmont Sardinia annexes Tuscany, Romagna, the rest of Lombardy, and Venetia. Piedmont Sardinia would form the Kingdom of Italy. The Republic of Italy, meanwhile, would get the rest of the Papal States, including the city of Rome, where they would move their capital. Austria-Hungary could get a better deal, as the Italian front would have been doing better than in our own timeline, and with the lack of a southern push. Serbia could still get Bosnia, Dalmatia, and Croatia, Slavonia, but wouldn't be able to get Banat or Slovenia. Poland still takes Galicia, and Romania takes southern Transylvania. The rest become Austria and Hungary, with Austria holding everything that was part of the German Confederation, while Hungary kept most of their core territory, bearing southern Transylvania. Austria and Hungary could here become part of initiatives like the Little Entente aimed at Germany and the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, in Italy, the South and North would find themselves in a power struggle over who the real Italy is, and the longer they stay divided, the more their people separate, and they could become two different identities like German and Austrian today. Fascism also wouldn't rise in Italy. Without a march on Rome, and thus without a beer hall putsch, the Nazi Party would be less known and might not rise to power in 1933. It could instead be the monarchists, the NVP, which under Alfred Hugenberg was not too far away from the Nazi Party of our own timeline. Germany, now with an emperor again, would remilitarize and would soon strike Austria, which with an alternative Little Entente and its size, be the casus belli for the Second World War. In this timeline, Belgium would be removed from the map, and the ripple effects caused by this lead to a big Netherlands divided Italy, stronger successors to the dual monarchy, continued existence of the Ottoman Empire, and alternate world wars. If you liked the episode, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.